Good evening, and welcome to the 66 Open Meeting, where 66 people get together and talk about 66 and occasionally some other things as well. We have with us tonight Jay, Mark, and Pat. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, let's start off with some 30-second check-ins. So, Emily, how's your week been?
Okay, I've not been too well this week, but I've been doing some more Lovecraft art, actually working on some portraits of the man himself, and just working the usual.
Okay, well, I hope you're feeling better. Jay, your week.
My week. What did I do this week? I did more work. Mostly. Yeah, just getting some stuff done. Oh, come on, James, be a little bit more specific. Yeah, we finalised where we're putting the tooling I'm building on the workshop floor. We've got that sorted out, and we had a load of analyses done, which has greatly reduced the amount of crane lifts we need to do, which is good because it makes my life a lot simpler.
Excellent. An inside slice on how to build a nuclear reactor there.
Basically, yes, very carefully.
That's the bit I like.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. Mark.
Yeah, okay. Week at work, really. Progressing with the project. We had some good feedback from the launch customer for the last product we put out, and we're kind of working on the next two. So, plodding on, really. And we've we just started doing the final run of edits for the Hellenic.
Yes.
Going through, Chris is being a grammar Nazi, lovely.
Improving the quality, I think you'll find. Or imposing house style. You know, take your pick. And finally, Pat.
Okay, well, I've had a fairly disastrous week as the keyboard went on my computer, which put me a lot behind.
And
It's been all afternoon with it. So, that's sorted, and we actually, we sort of introduced some more people to 66 this week, didn't we? She's looking blank.
oh, excellent.
Yes, we did.
But where did that come up?
Oh, just in a particular group. Some people were talking about it, and I just, we started off on one, didn't we?
Good. This is what we like, you know, indoctrinate people. It's the only way to do it. Right, and my week, yes, long, hard slog, getting more of the layout done on the books. The good news is I've now shifted from the stage where I was basically writing the tools to import all the data into InDesign into actually doing stuff with all that data. So the actual layout proper of the books has started. I'm starting off with Mince Pies and Murder, which is about the smallest of the books and also has all the sort of like major types of content which we need to work out how to lay out. So it's slow going through that, but hopefully it will speed up once I've done it once and then can speed up quicker with the other books. But fingers crossed, I'm hopeful I'm going to be in a position to have a finished PDF of Mince Pies and Murder by the end of the weekend, sort of by the end of Monday, and actually send it off to the print-on-demand people, Lightning Source. So that will be, I'll just send off Mince Pies and Murder just to get one proof copy, just really so I can have something physical in my hand and see how all the different design elements work. Because if there's any mistakes on the sort of general style, I can fix it before I do all the send off all the other books. So we're almost into the final stage. The moment we submit that PDF, we're in the final stage for the books. So yeah, getting there, I think, is the answer. Okay, right, so that is where we are this week. Last week we talked about really making, you know, what to do with this meeting, how to make it more useful, how to get more out of it, how to make it more welcoming to other people. So this week we're going to carry on with that discussion. Last week we sort of asked everyone to think of sort of ways we can use this time creatively. You know, so if we put aside half an hour of a meeting to do some sort of creative work, what sort of things would people like to see? So, so I suggest we can pick up there. Now I know Jay tweeted some stuff earlier, which I've pasted into our documents, but I will hand over to Jay. So, Jay, what were your sort of ideas?
Okay, well, two things. First, I think it would be interesting if we could do a world building exercise. Is always an interesting one. The thought I had behind that is we could quite easily rough out some quick concepts. I mean, whether we want to use the rules for a game like Intrepid or Microscope to help us, we could or could not do that. But we could basically build together a world, and then we could talk about that on other media forums, as well as saying, well, this is the kind of world we're building for a setting that we're looking at doing, maybe some stuff collaborative on it. What kind of interesting stuff do you have? What kind of comment do you have on that? So I thought some kind of world building exercise would be interesting, where I literally just start with a blank piece of paper and then sketch off from there and say, okay, well, what type of adventures do we want to tell? Pick some keywords and build from there. More specifically, with the Giant Chickens write I've done, I essentially drafted up Act 3 and went not happy with it. So I would like some input on other ideas with Act 3, and I'm not happy with it from the very top. It's like, okay, I literally went up with I've got Act 1, I've got Act 2, and I have nothing for Act 3 right now. I have an idea, but I don't like it very much. So I want to get some feedback from other people, other things I could do with the third act.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, there are two good things. Is there one, the world building? Yeah, I mean that would be an interesting ongoing project to do a world building, and that's going to be useful. But also, I think the second one is it illustrates a more general point in that we can use this time creatively to solve problems. There are certain things in all our writing and creative process where we need to get together with other people and bounce ideas off. So, as a specific problem-solving session. That would be one we use for time. Okay, so who would like to go next with an idea or ideas?
Well, someone want to go before me?
Sorry, I was suggesting that Chris rolled dice to make us go, but yours was Pat.
That is a more role-play-y thing. Random encounter, random question encounter. No, I thought it's a little bit of a weird thing, but maybe we could make well, it's sort of on a par with Jay's world building thing, but we could use it to build small 66 adventures. You know, not necessarily fleshed out or anything like that. And then if we've got a write-up, you know, release them rough on the website for people to download, so they can watch us go the process of making them, and then go, let's have a go at this. You know, even if it is a half kind of made thing.
Yeah,
it shows the process of building, which is what we're all about. Oh, I've got video. Can people see me?
Yes, we can see you, Pat.
Good. And I'll stop doing what I was doing. No, and yeah, so yeah, we can have that, and it will give a more if you're playing something, that's fine, but if you watch people making it, then you might be a bit more invested in it, more interested in kind of 66 where it can come, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and also, I mean, that there's sort of two elements to that. One is this sort of actually, you know, something small with an end point. So, you know, an adventure. You know, if we're talking about something to run a con demo game-sized adventure. Something you know, modest, and it doesn't have to be complete. You know, it just has to be in note form. The other thing, of course, that points to is the wiki, and of course how we use that, and you know, take advantage of that, so that we can. It's a great note-taking environment. Okay, Emily or Mark?
I'll go, but it's pretty much the same. again, as Jay and Pat, just the idea of doing some sort of mini project that we can all work a bit on, like just as like Pat said, like a mini setting, as it were.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, any mini. Have you got any sort of thoughts about what you personally would like to sort of as a mini setting?
Not really. Say, I've got a really bad migraine, so it's trying to make it at the moment is quite painful.
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
But
Okay,
it'd be interesting, to, even if we did like just several, running on just like little mini settings, as it were.
Yeah. So sort of just actual settings rather than adventures. Okay. And Mark.
Well, would it be worth kind of generating, say, banks of characters, as it were? So we sit there and go through the whole of the character creation process for whatever kind of setting, whatever thing we can think of, so we can kind of create a library of characters for use with our existing ones, or maybe for future ones later on. Or we could look at going through paths and things like that, and coming up with interesting paths for some of our settings. Just kind of, it's less more generating settings, but more the kind of tools and actual mechanical bits.
Yeah, it's about having something more definite at the end of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, Mark. I mean, nothing else, the character bank would be a nice thing for other people to have available to use and look at.
Yeah. It's the tricky thing is you create a setting and a story, and then you create characters. Rather than just go, here's a big bank of characters we kind of plucked out of thin air. But yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I mean, and also in terms of creating paths. I mean that's great. I mean, it sort of overlaps to a certain extent with sort of like talking about settings, because if you're creating paths, you are creating a setting to a certain extent. So yeah, I think they're great because they're sort of nice little projects, and they also have a good definite endpoint. Okay. What my idea is that I was thinking about images. I was thinking about sort of what works on social media, and images always work better on social media. And I was thinking that maybe what we could do is pick an image, have an image, and then as part of it we brainstorm, part world building, part character generation, or whatever. So we take whatever image is, and we use that as a prompt, and we write something, maybe just note form about an image. And so what you end up with is a collective image and a collective sort of plot hooks, campaign setting ideas, or whatever associated with that image. And I was thinking that might, share quite well out on social media, and something which is relatively easy for social media to get involved with.
That's quite a good idea, because as I see with almost any post, any successful post on social media, you have to have a nice image to go with it.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Text-only ones do tend to get lost. So that was my idea. I mean, particularly I've got that bank of a load of Creative Commons images which I've grabbed from places. So we've got plenty of material to start with. Okay, so yeah, I think what we've demonstrated there is there's quite a lot of ideas and quite a lot of different things we can do within a half-hour slot. So just before we sort of go on to sort of what to do next with these ideas, I just want to sort of come back to the big picture about the meeting. And I was thinking about this as I was typing in the Hangout. I mean, what do we call this meeting? How do we describe it in terms of getting other people in, and making it welcoming? I mean, I was wondering something along the lines of, the 66 creative meeting or something like that,
Yeah.
and we make it specifically say, it's a brainstorming session, and we really downplay maybe the 66 elements, the business side of it.
I think 66 creative it sounds a bit dry. Something a bit more jazzy. The Creatorium, but not terrible.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You know, a good name would go a long way.
66 Creation Factory.
The Ideas Factory.
Ideas Factory that.
Yeah, I'm really going to raise an eyebrow at that.
Is it telling that we're having difficulty coming up with a name for our creative meeting?
The think tank.
Yeah.
Workspace. 66 workspace.
I'm looking at a thesaurus at the moment now. One of these.
The term we use a lot of work is Scratchpad. Basically, kind of somewhere you're scratching ideas and scribbling on things.
That's a good one.
Notebook.
Yeah. Whiteboard.
Whiteboard, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else we can write on?
We could call it 66 Creative Commons.
Oh, that's clever. Yeah.
Clever, I like that.
We have the creative laws when it happens later.
The 66 Creative Common Room.
Yeah, common room.
Nice.
Did it leave a bad taste, did it? Help
Yeah,
we're stuck, please write our stuff for us.
we want to lure you in so you buy our products.
Insidious 66 Insidious marketing pitch.
The Cult of 66.
There aren't many S words. Because if it was an S word, it could be alliterative, and alliteration always.
Sorry, Mark.
66 stimulation.
Sorry, Mark, I didn't hear you.
So, how about some beginning with a D? So, kind of, we get that so 66 drawing.
Drawing board, yeah. Things beginning with D. Dog.
Denial.
6 dog.
Dalek.
Yeah, that's all the D words I've got actually.
Dyslexia.
696.
Yeah, there's worse ideas on that one.
Demonic.
Yeah.
Disparate.
Development.
Gestation just came into my head, that's just wrong.
Gestation.
Write it down, but it's wrong.
66 gestation hour.
Defensive.
Well, there's plenty of D words, but not all the D words are the ones that we need.
Yeah, development. Development works. Yes, development.
Skills works.
Development. The dregs of development.
No.
Scholarly.
Works, yeah. That's a good one.
The problem with Skull works only works for people who know anything, who know a bit about aviation.
Yeah.
You're kind of familiar with the term.
And they're generally hidden as well.
Social. 66 development social. And then it's 66. Well, SDS anyway is the if 66 is one word.
Okay. Yeah, we've got some good ideas there. Do we want to? Does everyone want to sort of highlight their favourite or mark their favourite, just as a quick guess at what, just to see what's standing out?
I'm afraid I can't.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so the ideas are Creatorium, Ideas Factory, Workspace, Scratchpad, Notebook, Whiteboard, Creative Commons, Creative Common Room, Drawing Board, 6 Design 6, Development Social, Skunkworks.
I like the think was it think it wasn't Think Tank, was it? It was the second one.
Think Tank's a good one.
Ideas Factory.
Ideas Factory, I like that.
Actually, I quite like Think Tank as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it has the advantage that it's sort of like it's a phrase people know.
Yeah.
I mean, do we before we sort of come on onto a spurt trying to pick one? Do we want to call it the 66 something? I mean, will it be more welcoming if we don't?
I would lean towards calling it the 66 something or other.
Yeah.
We do have branding. We should use it.
Brand recognition is important.
Yeah, we have to put a name on.
If anything goes to it, and like somebody like. Say, I mean, this is a really kind of bad analogy, but somebody at a con, and they go, they're those guys who do that meeting thing that I've seen. Oh, they also make this game, and then you know, that
yeah, that'll be a sign of success when they know it's from the meeting but not the game.
Yeah.
The other question is, do we want to stick RPG somewhere in the name?
It doesn't need it.
No, I don't.
It's just it's extra letters. Really, just literally just adding RPG onto it. I don't think it. A lot of the key things we were brainstorming just now was names that flowed and sounded good. Whereas if we stick the standard RPG in it, it's just great. Now we've completely broken the flow of the name we just came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is if we want to make it more welcoming and clearer what it is, we need to do that. But we can, if the name is catchy enough, then people will look at the description. So, yeah, first line sells the second line. Okay, so we've got votes for Ideas Factory, 66 Workspace, or possibly presumably just Workspace. Couple for Development Social, and one for Think Tank as well. I haven't decided because I've got quite a lot of them. I sort of quite like the Creative Common Room, but it's a bit clumsy. But it's got exactly the right idea and a play on words. So yeah, okay. Let's leave that for the time being because we can come back to it. So if we're calling it one of these ideas or one of your selected ideas, we've got we do the standard meeting format would be, start at 7. Obviously, we actually go online about 10 past. We do the check-ins, possibly a very brief explanation of who we are, what we do at the beginning, and then we have half an hour on a creative project. So yeah, so basically 30 minutes on one of these topics. Now, we talked last week about how we do stuff on social media and how we interact it and how we get people sort of asynchronous involvement for people who can't get into the meeting themselves. How does these ideas of what we're thinking of doing work with that? How would we implement them?
First off, just thinking in terms of a forum, and now we were thinking about the UK Role Players Forum, we would essentially start a thread on that where we would point to this video but also put some kind of textual summary in it and just basically say, this is kind of what we're doing, pitch in, because I don't know what it is at the moment, but I suspect the UK Role Players Forum is mostly consists of people looking for group.
No, there's reasonable amount of discussion traffic on it. They're quite good at sort of posting stuff. I mean, a lot of it's about obviously sort of games, conventions, and chitter chat, but there are pure RPG discussions as well.
I would, for a forum, that's what I do. Is basically you start the post off with saying, with the link to the video or an embedded image or something similar to what we were talking about, and then you get stuck in and say, okay, well, these are some of the things we've got doing for it. Please chip in and contribute. By the way, the next meeting we'll be talking about this.
Sounds good.
Just something you mentioned there, the next meeting. Because realistically, we need to actually look at, if we're talking about asynchronous, we need to have it running. The asynchronous element runs for several days, either before, after, or spanning the period of the meeting. And I'm thinking that actually we really need a wrap-up component of this as well, don't we? Because if we do, say we run it, we start the discussion in the meeting, so that we can point people to the video, and the following week we do things on the forum or social media or whatever. Then when we come back to the meeting, there should be at least some sort of catch-up or roundup of what happened, such as with your giant chickens. It would be nice for us as creatives to know what you actually finally decided having this week of discussions.
In that case, I think it might be worthwhile thinking about doing meetings in pairs. So each Friday bookends a week of activity. So if we're doing 66, we'd have the first half-hour meeting on here where we bounce ideas around about what a third act could be. We then go to the offline, the asynchronous methods, be it forum, social media, and the like, and then we come back again the next week, and basically we talk about what extra bits and pieces have happened or what decision we've made. So yeah, we'd pair up, we do the meetings in at least pairs. Now, we were looking at doing a longer world building thing, then that could run for a few weeks.
Yeah, the one problem I'm just thinking about that, because I think that's a good idea, is the problems we get if someone's away or whatever else. There's some slightly more complicated for scheduling. Nothing insurmountable.
I think as long as the originator of the creative query is there, then it's not too much of a problem. And a lot of us generally know a fair bit in ahead if we're going to be away the next week.
Yeah, I suppose we're going to always just sort of have a 2-week spell. Yeah. I mean, it would mean sort of like the second week format would be less creative and arguably less welcoming to somebody.
But I think if you don't refer to what people have been putting in the asynchronous media, in the webcast, in the video, in the meeting, I think it doesn't help. I think it just becomes just a vacuum. They're yelling at something and it's not being heard. I mean, obviously we'll be looking at replying onto the social media and responding to it, but I think if we have the point I think I want to latch on is that you said it needs closure. And the next meeting is an obvious point. Where even if it's only for like 5 or so minutes at the front of it, resolving a specific problem that someone's raised, and we just go okay, and then we talk about it, and then we move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think it's a question of how much time do we have a whole meeting, so effectively 2 half-hour blocks a week apart on the subject matter, or do we have half an hour and then a sort of 5 or 10 minute catch up the next week?
Yeah, I was thinking you do like a quick bit at the beginning of 15 minutes or 10 minutes of these are the things which have been going on, and kind of honourable mentions, a particular thanks to Jim Bob for his suggestions on doing this, and we've reached these conclusions based on that. Then we do the half-hour stuff, and then at the end we kind of almost set the questions for the next week's worth of stuff and say this is what we got, and we'll be on the forums again to answer these questions. Hope to see you on there to carry on talking about this. We kind of keep it in the loop. I'm particularly mentioning particularly good things that people have done for us on the forums. It's got kind of a validation thing to it.
It shows we're paying attention and
shows they're paying attention, and because they're in the loop and definitely being involved, then they're going to people are going to keep wanting to do stuff. Nothing else, it'll be a little extra incentive to put in some work because they know that they're on the next webcast.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, Mark.
It also matters because they might be encourage them to view it as well, because they'll make a point, and they might make an effort to turn up or view the video to see if it's responded to.
Mm.
Well, we'll respond on the forum, but I think for these ones, for the meeting, because we don't want to be spending an hour talking about the forum and everything that's going and being dragged into those conversations, we're going to kind of present a summary. So what we got last time we got this kind of question was answered very well, and we particularly like the response by Jim Bob where he suggested this, and this is the kind of stuff we'll be going on for.
Okay. Yeah. So Mark, do make a note of that. That we definitely want to include, sort of make sure that we mention people and who have been involved on the asynchronous channels. Okay. So as we've got format. Okay. Well, I think we don't have an answer to sort of like how much time do we need to do the follow-up really, and we won't know until we try it. So I suggest whatever we do in this first cycle is that we just plan to have a following week looking at what we did and what worked and all the rest of it, because we'll treat it as a sort of a first run, as a test run.
Yeah, we don't want to drag it out too long and end up having to have almost an extra meeting with an hour talking about the forum and an hour doing the creative stuff, and then we do playtests for an hour and a half. It's going to drag out for too long for people.
Yeah, this meeting has to, is in this hour slot regardless. We will kill the meeting at 8, so we're going to always factor that in. Right, what we need to do, the plan, I think, should be that we will do this first of this creative section next week, and then obviously over the following week do the social media stuff, and then week after that we will do a catch-up and look at what we've learned and plan further ahead. So the next question is, what are we going to do about this asynchronous stuff, and where are we going to sort of make the notes and all the rest of it?
Well, okay, so you're talking about notes we make during the meeting?
Well, no, I'm talking about there's, at some point, all this stuff, whether we do it on forums or on social media, whatever, it has to be collated somewhere so that we can all see it, and that we can share it to people and people can see each other's ideas. The obvious place to put that is the wiki, but even if we're doing the Google Docs, same question. Somebody actually has to do that work.
I think perhaps it would most likely be the originator of the query. If a specific thing, for example, if we were talking about doing an Act 3 for Giant Chickens, then most likely I'd be looking at putting a colophon or something like that on the end of the Giant Chickens page on the website, and basically saying, and during the creative, just basically putting a creative process comment section on the back of it, which may or may not, would be unlikely to go in any finished PDF, but would be on the website. And then, obviously, with that, you'd see me write up the Act 3. The net product will be on there. For something like a world building or a setting building exercise, it'd be something that we could... A area of the website would be good. And then if these particularly... It's almost like... I'm imagining the tab down the side where you've got settings and adventures. You probably want an ideas tab. And if you were doing what your idea of basically having an image and then us just spinning ideas for an adventure or a world or characters off it, you'd flag that up in the center as the image, and then down the sides, the contents of the page would be the notes and ideas we'd had.
Yeah, I mean that's just interesting. It occurred to me that you say having it on that menu down the side. We want this name for the meeting we choose really wants to be something we put on the wiki, so you can find all the notes of all the meetings in one place. So that sort of points us towards maybe sort of the idea. Okay, so I think that sorry Jay, there's a key point you raised there, which I think is somebody has to be in charge of it, and with each creative chunk we do, someone has to be responsible for it. So the person who proposes it. The person who runs the meeting, I think, would be the appropriate. They also run the meeting or the creative chunk of it. They are responsible for the notes, and all of that. So they have that responsibility to bring it all together and to run the process. But individually, we need to be involved on social media and helping the conversation to go. And I think the question is, do we want to focus all our efforts, say, all of us get on board of a particular forum, or do we all sort of work in our own particular preferred area, social media, Twitter or G+ or whatever else, and each try to propagate it into a different area?
I think the specialisation has advantages. It doesn't tie one of us down. The advantage you've got, Chris, is because of your position, the nature of your workload means that because your 66 is your job, you have slightly more free during the day to help marshal this a bit. I do remember when we were talking about the ideas of ask us questions on G+ on forum about if you've got any queries about the game, we have an open help desk. You would essentially you would flag that a question had been asked and then make sure that one of us answered it. Now, I'm more than happy to do Twittery stuff, but then that's only 140 characters, so...
You can get quite a lot done on Twitter. I mean, I've run... Yeah, this sort of thing. So, my gut reaction is that because each of us works differently, has different requirements, and like certain types of media and forums, we've all got different tastes. I mean, we should play to our strengths, and environments you're already active in is where it's going to be easier for you to be active on these projects already. So, you're already doing wonderfully on Twitter. It's logical for that's the sort of place you want to encourage the conversation. I'm on G+ a lot. I don't know, Pat, I assume you're sort of on forums and things like that more than I am.
Yeah, I'm happy to swing around and work more on the forums. I know because Emily has a much more... Your Twitter profile is much more about promoting your art, whereas mine is just me commentating on what I had for breakfast. Or what animal it was I saw at the zoo, or stuff like this. It's very much more a personal account. So I think Emily would make more sense for the Twitter. I'm happy to swing around.
Okay, so just
I can just spend a quarter of an hour a day during a work break. Just go on, have a look, and just rattle off some replies.
Yeah, forums are better for that. Yeah. And Mark,
what I had quickly, Chris, was in terms of workload as an issue, because all four of us, or all five of us, are in the middle of doing a heavy amount of workload on our own projects. Now, I think this is an important idea. It shouldn't necessarily be delayed for us to finish Hellenic God Lovecraft before we start doing it. But another reason I think I quite like the fortnightly cycle was that it would give us more space to do our own thing. So if we basically had a meeting, a week's worth of activity, and then a closeout meeting, and then a gap, it stops loads of ideas piling up, being unwritten.
Yeah, so I think the workload is something we want to carefully manage, and everyone needs to manage their own workload. Sorry, Mark. Have you any thoughts? I know you're busy typing.
Go for it. On which particular question? Sorry, there's quite a few answers as I was doing that.
Yeah, sorry, about for social media, any particular forums, areas you feel more comfortable?
I use Facebook a lot more. I've got a G+ account, but I can never remember to actually do much with it, and I've never really got the forums at all. So I can share it a bit on Facebook and take care of a group or something we can put on there. But I'm hesitant to take on a whole button of extra work on top of what we're already doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. At the bottom level, I think all we were asking for is that just when things get shared out, you reshare them. That's the sort of the entry level of activity. Also have of course, the official accounts, the official 66 Facebook and Twitter accounts and things like that. And I'm happy to give access to anybody who wishes to use those. If you feel you'd rather work through one of the official 66 stuff, that's an option. Right. Okay. Just wrap this up. So I think for conversations, the structure we need to have for any of these little projects, there's got to be the proposer stroke manager. That's the person whose idea it is and who's actively trying to get something out of the setup. And then individually, we should be willing to give, not commit, but at least give some idea of sort of what we will be doing in this sort of following week to support that idea. So just simply saying, Emily's saying, well, I'm around on Twitter a lot, so I'll make sure I share this out on Twitter. Mark says, well, I'm really busy this week, so don't expect anything from me. So, we each commit to some level of sort of like the social engagement in our own particular fields. And then we come back the following week, and again, it's the mini project manager who's pulled everything together and runs the meeting to close it off and sort of walks us through what we've discovered and everything else. Does that sound like a workable plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These mini projects, are we going to try and do them within, say, 1-2 week cycle? Are we going to have like a target where this is an 8-cycle project?
I think that comes down from the proposer.
Get it done, and then we do the next one.
That will come down to the mini project manager and the proposer. For example, CG6 Act 3 of Giant Chickens is 1. It's only a week's worth of stuff. It's just basically I want people to come up with ideas for an Act 3, bounce ideas off me and themselves, and then see what we think is the better ending for the adventure.
Yeah. I was proposing that when we propose a project and we set one up and say this is the mini project we're going to be working on for next however long, we do actually kind of have a set number of cycles we do it for.
Yeah.
To prevent kind of dragging and feature creep and bloat and other horrible things.
Yes, I think that's the key thing here, is for a fixed length of time and really should have a fixed aim. So with something like, I don't think, saying something like, oh, I'm going to run a world building for 2 weeks, I think it's got to be, I'm going to do world building and I want to map the whole world, or map one city, or come up with ideas of who lives in this house, a defined target, and I think that will help us all.
Create 10 characters who are involved in this.
Yeah.
I have a spy agency. Give me more information about it.
Yeah. Okay. So that I think we've got the structure for that. Okay. We've got some ideas for names. We can probably take that asynchronous because it might be a good one just to share out with people and see what people think.
It's actually a good starting point. We've got this idea. We want to do this with people. We can almost make it the first one, and then the first thing we do next week is basically report back on feedback from the communities on, we're going to do this. Does this sound something that you will be interested in joining in on?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Obviously, I think that therefore means it's my project. So that would be a start. So I will do that, and so each of you, I will obviously be doing most of my stuff on G+. It gets automatically reshared out to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
How is the best way to sort of notify you so you know when I've posted something? Is it tag you in G+? Is it to email you?
I'd probably just
email.
Or otherwise just do a straight share of
Yeah.
this is the thing I want you to share, right? And then just go.
For email, because it alerts me a bit better.
Okay, can everyone just stick the best email for them down on the document? I've obviously got all your emails, but I suspect some of them are out of date. Or at least not your prime address.
Yeah, I'd say if you contact me by my personal email, I'll get notified of it quicker than I will if it's through my work, through my
You
personal
need to update that, Mark.
But unfortunately, I have no ability to put it onto the thing here. I can put it in the chat window. Give me a second.
Or Emily, if you know which address he's talking about, you can put it in there.
You should really update your address, Mark.
Oh, Dr. Mark Foster.
Yeah.
If you change the email addresses, you just have to go around and inform everyone of it. It's just a pain in the arse.
Yeah. True enough.
Oh, I hadn't realised that was to do with your master's degree. I always just assumed it was from, you'd had this address since you were 8 years old or something.
It does look like a particularly childish and shit email address. No, but I did come up with it when I was 21, having just got the master's degree, and was too pleased with myself because I'm a twat. So, yeah, probably should change it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So I will do that. We'll do this dry run, and obviously everyone just try to share it out and play it by ear, see what works, and.
Okay. Which forum should I be heading for?
I think UK role players, because at least some people there know our name, and it's not a seething cesspool like RPG.net.
Drive-through RPG, the sellers' websites we're using, did they have forums that we think they would be useful penetrating?
I don't think they do. No, I think it's all reviews, though.
Okay.
Might be worth a check. Okay. So we have a plan. What we do need to do is select what's going to be the first proper thing for next week. Now, I suspect Jay's is probably the easiest in that, it's a nice defined little bit, but did anyone else have, of those ideas, have something they could definitely put in place for next week and want to run for our first project?
I think we'll take that as stony silence.
Yeah.
Unless someone wants to work with stony silence.
I've got a lot of ideas for things that I've written down over the years, but I'm already behind on my 66 this week. That's all.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 or 3 other setting ideas rattling around my head as well. We can always use later on, but the one I'm working on first is giant chickens.
Yeah, that one seems a good one. So next week, Jay, you will be hosting the meeting. I think we'll do. Yeah, you host the entire meeting. Would it be better? Yeah, I will have to start the Hangout though, otherwise it will go on someone else's YouTube channel. But you'll host the meeting. And walk us through what you need, and we'll throw in ideas, and we'll take it from there.
Yep.
Okay, I think we have a plan.
Good. That should be good. That's good. And it's nice. I think stating during this meeting what we'll be doing next meeting will help, because it means people are more likely to come back if they already know they have a bit of a teaser on it. But I think, as Mark was saying, define project goals where we don't have things drag on over too many meetings will also help, because we want people to be able to come into these meetings and not feel they need to catch up.
It keeps everything kind of fresh. It also means that the project kind of, you start it, you do it, it gets done, we do something else, rather than dragging on for 6 months about doing the same thing and putting people and just making ourselves bored.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's got to be done. Okay, so let's finish off with some pluses and deltas. So we'll do the pluses first, and we'll start with you, Pat.
Pluses, I think we've got a lot of stuff done today. I'm quite proud of how fast we've taken to this and gone straight to this is the direction we're taking. Deltas, I don't know if you noticed, but my thing kept cutting out.
Yeah, we did notice.
I might have been yelling at it, and you might be able to hear me. If that was the case, I apologise.
Okay, plus and delta.
Pluses, again, like Pat, feels like we're actually doing something. It's nice having a mission, as it were, almost, for this week. And yeah, it feels like we're, as Pat said, really taking on to getting stuff done. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to have a bit more of a revamp of the meetings. Deltas, my head is just killing me.
I really appreciate you being online. I didn't realize quite how bad you were. Though I am now wondering, will we get a scanners type explosion before the end of the show?
I'm taking codeine, so I'm just waiting for it to sink in.
Mark.
Echoing the other two, really. I'm looking forward to having the change of format and for kind of refreshing what we're doing here. It's also good to get back into some creative work with game design rather than the boring plodding bit.
Yeah. Okay, and the Delta?
It's going to generate a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, is when you want to do something, it creates work.
Yeah, it's annoying that.
Yeah. Okay, Jay?
Yeah, I like the momentum we've got. I've got a good feeling about it. I think this is going to work quite well. I think upping the pace, perhaps, in the meetings is going to help. You listen to podcasts that are popular, and they tend to be, they have a decent pace, they have rhythm, they have momentum to them. People sound, they sound enthusiastic, so I'm looking forward to that. The only delta I've got is we do need to make sure we still actually have the business meeting as well.
Mm-hmm.
The creative part goes on the front of the meeting, and then we've got the business stuff on the back. We do still need to remember that, while it is nice all of us being able to come in here and start really doing the creative stuff we all really enjoy, we still need to remember that Chris has a business to run.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not so much that I need the business to run, it's the fact that you guys need to understand at least something of what's happening on the business side of things. So, I mean, we can tackle that a number of ways, possibly maybe once a month we do a business-only meeting and change it that way round. But that's a very good point. Chris, plus.
Pluses are good.
Yes, my pluses that I like people's pluses. No, that's a bit shit. Yeah, I think we had some good ideas. You all sort of came up with different types of ideas in terms of creative package, and also different ideas about how we sort of actually make this work, and good practical ideas, which I think is the important thing, like managing workload and making sure we have defined goals. Delta. Yeah, actually, I'm struggling on my Delta. I sort of really echo Mark's comment, is that I just know that to make this work, we have to do lots of work, and but I'm hoping that once I've actually got the books done, that my workload will change dramatically, so I can do more of this sort of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, okay. I think that's where we're about done. Any last words?
No?
No.
Okay, right. That's it for tonight. We're back for a meeting next week, 7 PM. Well, as you just heard, we will be doing our first of our creative stuff. If you wish to join us in the creative stuff, just get in contact. We'll send you the invite. So yeah, just get in contact with me or the 66 official account. Okay, so until next week, goodbye.